I'll be remembered, but will you? Bill McDonald's the baddest that I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. He'll always win, there's no going under. The top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If he dreamt before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it, let us survive. Show courage and strength, it's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you, always stay prepared. Bill showing school, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.
Welcome to the Bearded Beast Show. My name is Bill, and I am the Bearded Beast. I got my friend with me here today, Victor. Victor, you there? We're going to talk some real shit, right?
Let's do it, brother.
All right, we got some real stuff to talk about. Recap on you, blood sugar 700. You were in the 380s, right?
Yeah, 385 on my heaviest.
All right, you're down to?
282 this morning.
Nice. Do you weigh yourself every day?
It depends. Most of the time I weigh myself weekly, but if I'm like trying to get leaner or anything like that, I weigh myself for 7 days, and the median number, and I pick a median number, and that's most likely the real weight. Because weight fluctuates. Even for us males, we can fluctuate even 5 pounds a day. It's crazy.
All right, so real talk about the scale quickly. Have you ever got to a point where you got on the scale and didn't see the number you wanted to see, and where you were like, fuck this, I'm going to give up?
Yes, it has happened. That's why I consider the scale just a tool to gather data. It's just data. It doesn't have to affect my mindset or anything like that. It guides what I do, but it cannot be the be-all and end-all.
Because, I mean, it will definitely make a lot of people quit.
Yes, I mean, this takes me back to 2017 when I started. Like at the 7 or 8 month, that month I lost only 1 pound in the whole month, and I was doing everything by the numbers. I got so frustrated that I was almost on the verge of quitting.
But you didn't.
That was horrible.
But you didn't quit. That's the main point of the story, right? You never quit.
Exactly. It's like I tell people, if you're tired, learn to rest, but don't quit.
All right. So back then when you first started, how long did it take? You started walking, right? How long did it take you to walk a mile?
47 minutes. I will never forget that. Those were the 47 longest minutes of my life, because I was sweating and heaving, and I was like, I'm only walking. I mean, what's wrong with me? Well,
but that showed you
I
right
was
there,
very, very sick.
Like how far, unfortunately, you had let yourself go, right? But it also showed you that no matter where you were at, you had a place to start, right?
Exactly.
So we can't say to ourselves, well, we're too far gone. Why start now, right? There's always opportunity to start no matter where you are.
Yes, I mean, one of the things that really motivated me and made me become disciplined was the story that I saw on YouTube about this lady that she's like 85 years old, and she's a fitness instructor. She has competed in bodybuilding shows, and she started working out around 50 or 55. Wow. And I was like, wait a minute, if this lady has done this, this means that change is attainable at any stage. Let's do this. And here we are.
Right. So we're never to a point where it's too late, right? We can start whenever the opportunity is there for us to start. We can't say, I'm 60, why start now, right?
So, regarding opportunity, it's very, very, in a sense, funny that you said that, because sometimes we wait for an opportunity. And if the opportunity doesn't present itself in any realm of life, any endeavor, we need to create that opportunity by any means necessary. Because circumstances most of the time are not going to be perfect to what we want to do. So we need to make it happen one way or the other.
Right. I before we got on the air today, I just did a podcast about opportunities, and the way that I perceive things is that they're always there. We just need to take advantage of the opportunities that we want to take advantage of, but we can't say that, if it doesn't fall in our lap, it doesn't mean it's not there. We just have to work a little harder.
That reminds me of this. It was a TV commercial about, I don't even remember what was it about, but the funny thing is that these four guys are in a parking lot. Three of the guys are washing their cars. The fourth guy is just there, sitting down in a chair, drinking a beer, and his car is super dirty. And the other three are looking at him like with this air of superiority. And all of a sudden, the sky gets dark and start raining, and the other guys are so frustrated. This guy takes a rag and start washing his car with the rain. So, I mean, it really reminded me of that, because it's like sometimes even in the darkest moments, if we have the right optic, we can turn it into an opportunity for success.
Absolutely. That's a great little story you just told there, and I hope people take that for how you said it, because even in the darkest moments, opportunity does present itself. So
It's not easy sometimes because, for example, it reminds me when I decided to start taking care of my health. When my doctor told me that morning, I mean, it floored me. It was like, if you don't do a change in your habits in the next year or two, you're gonna die, son. I mean, his exact words. He didn't sugarcoat nothing. He was like, well, if you don't do something, you're going to shit.
no, he flat out told you the truth, right?
Yep.
Um,
Absolutely.
let's go back. You and I had a pretty good conversation the other night on the phone, and I learned some things about Victor that I think people need to know, because you have an amazing story that I believe a lot of people out there right now are suffering through some things that you have already figured out a way to overcome and move on. I mean, they're still there. I mean, they're still in your mind. We talked about it, but you've overcome those things, and you've been able to progress forward with your life, and you've done a fantastic, amazing job from where you were to where you are, getting rid of medications for diabetes. You've lost over 100 pounds. I mean, your story is a true story that people need to hear. So let's go back to some of your military days. I know that you're no longer in the military because you suffer from some PTSD, correct?
Yes.
So explain to some of my listeners what that's like, and what is that like to go through?
I mean, it's something really, PTSD, that acronym, a lot of people know it. It's called post-traumatic stress disorder. Because of my military service, I suffered through some situations that really marked me. And the thing is that because of that, they sent me to a medical board, and they, basically decided that it wasn't the best for me to be medically retired. And the thing is that I was only what at the time? Like I was 30 years old. And it was very stressful, and it was very limiting, because then I was considered dangerous to myself and possibly to others. And I was deemed unemployable, and it's been a really, really wild ride, in a lot of ways, not only the mental aspect, the financial aspect, growing a family, all this. I mean, that has colored a lot of the things that I had done in my life.
So even, I can't imagine what it was like to suffer and have that, those issues that you have. But we say that stress is the number one root cause of a lot of our issues, right? I mean, a lot of reasons why we have chronic health issues possibly. And you're suffering medically from one of the worst possible conditions, but you were able to overcome that and still accomplish the things that you've accomplished. So regardless of what we have going on, we can still overcome our obstacles and achieve the things we want to achieve, correct?
Yes, that's exactly right. Because one of the things that, in my experience, happens to people is, I mean, I don't care, in a sense, I don't care who anybody is, who anybody thinks they are. Life is going to break us at some point. And that's not the problem. The problem is that if we decide to stay broken, I mean, it's not fun, it's hard, A lot of times, self-doubt will be like your constant companion, like your shadow. You're gonna doubt anything you do, but I much rather prefer to go through that just remain stagnant, not make progress. It was very, very harsh. For example, I love to read. One of the things that happened to me was that I lost the capacity to understand to a point. Let's say that I could read a 300-page book in a day.
Wow.
So when I became sick, I spent more than 12 years that I couldn't read a serious book. Because if I read a page, I turned the page, everything left my brain. I could not retain anything. And in order for me to regain that, it was a very steep battle, very uphill.
Wow. So, I mean, those are just more points to the story that you could have just buried your head in the sand and say, "This is my life. This is what it's going to be. I'll never be any better than this, and this is how I'm going to die. I'm going to die with not even being able to remember or read a book and remember what I read." But you
There
chose.
was a point there was a point that I was starting to think like that. And one of the biggest influence in my life is my mother. She passed this last February 18 was 7 years that she passed. I miss her every day, but when I'm doubting myself or thinking about quitting on something, I always hear her voice in my mind telling me, if you quit now, you will never realize the goals you have. You
Wow.
can't quit. You need to keep going. You fail, yes, go again. Fail again, yes, go again. Always.
Wow, and I'm sorry to hear about your mother, but that's very important that you. That's great that you have her and you have her voice to keep you pushing and moving forward. Because inside of us, we have that little bitch voice, right? That always wants us to stop and wants us to quit
Oh,
and
yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
want us to get up and go to the gym and doesn't want us to become successful, doesn't want us to run businesses and do anything more than just operating at a basic level, right? We got that little bitch voice.
Yes, because the inner bitch voice only likes comfort. Anything and everything that is gonna push us out of the comfort zone, that little voice is gonna be, don't do it. Don't do it. You're not good
Hmm.
enough. You can do that. How? I mean, are you crazy? People are gonna laugh at you. I mean, look at you recording your workout in the gym. I mean, you look like freaking Kung Fu Panda lifting weights. You're fat. Well, I had to decide, excuse my French, but fuck it. I had to develop an attitude of that I could not be self-conscious about looking silly. When I started going to a dojo doing jiu-jitsu, and I was like very excited because my gi was getting home that day in the mail. And man, I was super excited. And when I put that gi on, and I was weighing 385 pounds, I looked at myself in the mirror, and I was like, well, it's official. I am Kung Fu Panda.
I think we
You
all
know,
envision ourselves worse than how people see us, though, right?
that's I think that's true.
I mean, we always see the
And
worst in us, right? Our loved ones see the best in us, but we don't. We just think they're saying it because they love us, right?
yes, yes, it happened to me many times, especially with my mother. We have a saying in Spanish that goes like, "Solo hay un niño bonito y cada madre lo tiene." It roughly translates to, "There's only one pretty kid, and every mom has him." so, so when our mothers tell us things, it's like, especially we being males, it's like, "Yes, mom, yeah, 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 cool, yeah. Oh, you look so handsome today." "Yes, mom, I'm always handsome to you," because obviously she's our mother. But sometimes we fail to realize that they're speaking in any area. They're speaking from a place of love and reality. Because my mother always told me what I needed to hear, not what I wanted to hear.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a big difference between those two.
Oh, yeah, there is. There's a huge difference. All right. We talked the other night on the phone. I learned some things about you that I didn't know. Victor, you've had some major obstacles in your life. Let's
Yes,
explain.
I had.
Let's explain to the listeners some of the serious shit that you overcame and became the version of the man you are today.
Well, when I got out of the military, I got really, really depressed on top of everything because my intention was to do a military career. I wanted to be a lifer. I mean, to me, being in the army was my golden dream in the sense that I was traveling, seeing the world, doing badass shit. That was taken from me. I felt like, well, it's over. I mean, so I go back to my island, my town, this and that, and I went back a broken man. So I started running with the wrong crowd, and sadly, I got addicted to cocaine for almost 10 years.
Wow.
It was no, it was not easy. It's not easy to remember in those times. I put my family through a lot, myself through a lot, and thanks to the Lord, I have been clean right now. Let me think back. Uh, for a little bit, I was about a little bit over 8, 10 years, more or less, give or take. Because this started like, something to have fun, something to get the edge off and whatever, and it ended up almost costing me my life. I
Did
got
you
in
get
a lot of legal problems. It was horrible.
did you get to a point where it really did almost cost you your life?
Well, let me put it like this. I tried under the influence, I tried to commit suicide 5 times, got hospitalized, and I overdosed like 3 times.
Wow.
That was the only time where being so big saved my life.
Oh yeah, I guess I mean if you probably were, I guess it goes by what you have in your body with the size of your body, right?
Well, I mean, sometimes size doesn't matter that much because what happens in an overdose, most of the time the liver produces certain enzymes that process whatever substances we take, from alcohol to protein to whatnot. And you can be a very large person, but if your hepatic enzymes are depleted, you can take just one hit and die from an overdose because you have all that built up in your system. It's not being excreted, and that can happen too. But
I
it
mean,
was a really horrible time, my man.
right. I mean, so this is some serious shit. I mean, so you didn't just try once. You tried, what did you say, 5 times?
Yes,
So
because I
you survived the
was.
first time, but that wasn't enough even in your mind to say, I'm lucky to still be alive. I need to stop doing this.
You are absolutely right. It was a very dark time in my life. I was in a constant state of despair, pain, depression. I really was all about like I was being a bitch. Let's say like it is. I was being a bitch about everything. Oh, they put me out. Oh, what I'm going to do now? Boo hoo, boo hoo, poor me. Instead of having this door closed, let's see what other doors can open. What can I do now? But I just choked, froze, and elected the wrong way to deal with a situation.
So what?
And if you allow me to say this to anybody that's listening that is going through a dark time, feeling about ending it all, I'm gonna say this to you guys: you cannot solve a temporary quote unquote problem that is life with an eternal situation like that. There's always a way out. There's always a choice.
That's so important. So many people need to hear that, right? So I feel that a lot of people who put themselves in those positions, and thankfully in my life I've never been there, but I think they have regret after the moment that they possibly start their suicide. And sometimes for some of them it's too late. They don't get a fifth opportunity to try. The first time
No,
works.
I mean, the first time works. And sometimes it's even worse than that because, You can attempt to do any number of messed up things to end to end your life, and sometimes, let's say that you botch the procedure, then you end up being quadriplegic.
Mm.
You end up having to have dialysis for the rest of your life. It's crazy. It's something that nothing in this life is so hard that it merits a person taking their own life. I mean, I can say because I have been through it, and quite frankly, everything in life has come to pass. The good times and the bad times too.
That please, I hope everybody is listening to what Victor is saying, because we do have a problem in society today with what we've been through in the past 3 years, through the COVIDs and the shutdowns and people losing their jobs and their careers and nothing. Listen to what he said. This is a man who has been through this. He has overcome this. Nothing in life is bad enough to take your own. Right? Victor, we can't, that's not the solution.
No,
We
no, and I need to say this is not something magical that's going to happen. It's not something, but there's always a choice. You have the choice to stand up for yourself and overcome for yourself. Because I mean, no matter what nobody tells us, we are good enough.
we
We
are
can
good
do it.
enough.
We can exactly, because that's another thing that I see so much nowadays, especially in social media. People trying to do the little things in the gym, showing a little bit of progress, and a lot of people just start talking crap. It's like, hey, don't talk crap. I mean, I don't care if I see somebody performing, let's say, a deadlift, and I notice that their form can injure them. I'm not going to post a comment like, learn how to do the movement properly, blah blah blah. I will shoot that person a message like, hey, great effort. Check your form because you may injure your lower back. Try this. But what's the need to be shaming people for what they're trying to do to progress? I really don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, how we got to that point as a society. And I did some podcasts about this, and what I sat down and I really, because before I do my podcast, people need to understand I put a lot of work into those. It doesn't just I sit and think about what I'm going to say because I want the message to come across the way it needs to come across. But what I've started to realize is that jealousy is a very, very bad thing to have in your life. And I think when people see others trying to do something good for themselves, they get upset that they're not doing the same thing for themselves. And it really is more about the individual who's making the comment on the inside more than it is about the person who's actually doing, the exercise in the gym. The person who's seeing them do it is frustrated because maybe they're not putting in the work to do the things they should be doing for themselves. But don't discard somebody else who's putting in an effort to make themselves better.
Exactly right. And it's, for example, a lot of people that just acquaintances, people that I haven't been knowing for, let's say, the last 8, 10 years. Not too long ago, I ran into somebody at a grocery store, and he's like, "Hey, man, you look good, but you know what? For all the years that you have been doing this and all the time, you should have a six pack, man. I mean, why you look like this?" He still looks like his old fat self. And I'm like, why you saying I don't have a six pack? And I proceed to reach into my buggy and pick up a six pack of beer that I had. Right here it is. And he's like, man, don't be cute. I mean, I'm telling you, like, I'm calling you out. Like, oh, you calling me out or what? So how many pounds have you lost since I've been doing this? I think I'm getting late. It's getting late. I gotta go. No. I mean, you're calling me out because I should have this. What have you done? And then he got upset and basically left me with my words in my mouth. He just took off. And there's goes to show what you're saying is exactly right. This guy, I've been knowing him for a lot of time. He's only getting bigger and sicker. And he tells me that, no, you need to have a six pack. Well, I have one in my buggy, a six pack of beer. I mean, what I do is not for looks, it's for health. And a lot of people, social media, they go like, oh, they're trainers that need a trainer. No, I mean, you're just not seeing the complexity of this thing. I mean, some people think fitness is something like a magic thing that needs to be also like you need to look a certain way, you need to be a certain way. No, because I mean, a lot of people will not believe that I can do certain things. And when I, especially younger kids, younger people, I go to the gym and I start doing my lifts and whatever, and they look at me like, damn.
Yeah, I
To me,
mean,
it's not about looking a certain way. It's being able to function.
but Victor, you got off of diabetes medication, high blood pressure medication. So I don't care you don't have a six pack. I care that you're not putting those in your body anymore, and that you were able to overcome that. You know,
Yeah,
just because somebody has a six pack doesn't mean they don't have diabetes, right?
exactly right. Or any other number of things, because people, sometimes people equal certain appearance. You can look really nice in the outside, and maybe you're putting things in your body to look that way that are going to make you be really messed up on the inside.
You still there?
You know? Yes, yes.
You're right. I mean, we know that we do see a version of bodybuilding that we know is not natural, right?
Exactly.
And those things do a lot of inner damage. You may look fucking great on the outside, right? Like a beast. I'd rather be a beast on the inside than a beast on the outside. I'd rather know I'm healthy. I got a lot of shit I still want to do, so I need to live a long time. I don't want to be here temporary. I still got a lot of shit to accomplish, so I need to even get better at paying attention to what I'm putting inside my body. But I'd rather be inner
Absolutely right.
healthy than look a certain way. I mean, health doesn't look a certain way. I mean, we can go get blood tests and we can get tests. It's going to tell us the truth, right?
Exactly. And that's one of the things that is so prevalent right now. Is just that people are doing any number of stuff of bad things to their bodies in order to look a certain way, and then people try to rush. I even read this in a journal that I was reading. It was like steroids don't kill as many people as heroin. Nobody has died of a steroid overdose. I'm like, well, if that's your way to rationalize it, go with it. I mean, I respect whatever decision anybody takes, but everything has consequences.
Absolutely. Even the medication they prescribe to us has side effects and has consequences long term.
Exactly right. And it's so crazy because going back to my my dark days of addiction and all that, it makes me think about what I just said about that everything has consequences. But what consequences has that had in my life?
Right. Do you worry
Well,
about that?
I still, well, I mean, look, I still have nightmares. Sometimes, I mean, when life gets hard, when situations get like a little bit, like sometimes it's like you're feeling like sometimes anybody can feel like 10 pounds of shit in a 2 pound bag. It's like, man, I mean, you start thinking, and that little bitch voice is like, well, you know what we could do to relax a bit?
Mm.
And that happens. And I had to practice good mental hygiene. I had to be very mindful of what I tell myself
Wow, that
because
comment you just said, mental hygiene. People listen to what he's saying. Practice mental hygiene. That you need to like patent that, Victor.
because the thing is, but for real, when we start thinking obsessively about stuff that is not in our hands to control, that just perpetuates a vicious circle of feeling impotent, not good enough, feeling overwhelmed. Because some things, no matter how hard we try, are never going to be under our complete control. And if we cannot work on it, we need to work on us. on becoming better to be able to overcome the situation that has us pinned down. But if we start thinking obsessively and thinking and rethinking, and you go to bed and you're thinking about the same shit, and you wake up and you're talking about the same shit, and you're having lunch and your brain is talking about the same shit to you again, it perpetuates it, and sooner than later, we're going to be really messed up in the head.
Right. We start to believe the things that we continue to tell ourselves, right? We start to
Exactly.
believe we're no good. That self-doubt creeps in. I did a podcast about that. I have it. Everybody looks at me sometimes and thinks, wow, this guy's got it all going on. You know, he's accomplished this. He's got this. He's got these cool cars. He's got this great house. Bro, I go through the same shit. Life is hard. Anything that you're going to do in life that's worthwhile is fucking hard, though, right? It doesn't happen overnight, right? It's not self-gratification. I wake up tomorrow and I'm in the shape I want to be in. It's anything that is worth doing is going to take time. It might take us the rest of our lives.
Yes, and talking about time, in order to overcome my addiction, when I finally I had a really bad situation with really legal consequences, and then that was like, to me, I was still, in that thing. Oh, this just happened because this and that. But then my mother sat me down and told me, you know what, son, I love you with all my soul, but loving you like I do, like you doing the things you're doing, it's not that I don't love you anymore. I'm always going to love you, but I'm gonna have to take a little bit of distance from you because I love myself. When my
Wow.
mother told me those were the words that really made me go like, okay, motherfucker, you're gonna keep doing this. This is taking the love of your mom from you. You really want this in your life?
Wow.
That was the definitive moment when I understood that if I wanted to be somebody to get out of that, I was going to have to really put my work in and decide to change. And in the beginning, I had to take the days in 15 minutes intervals just to survive through that day without going out and doing stupid crap. The first 3 years were really, really harsh.
All right. So explain that to everybody listening. 50-minute intervals. How did you do that, Victor?
Okay, let's say that I woke up at 8 o'clock in the morning. My first conscious thought always was like, well, I need to go get some stuff. So that first day, I was like, well, I'm up. Thank you, Lord. For the next 15 minutes, I'm going to be clean and sober. I even had an alarm in my wristwatch set for every 50 minutes. Okay, for these next 15 minutes, I'm going to be clean and sober. I had to do that like for 6 to 8 months every fucking day.
Wow.
I don't even want to, sorry, man, but it reminded me that I used to really, really hate just waking up, going through all the stuff, the physical stuff that you go through. That passed comparatively quickly. But the mental hunger, that void space there, it's always asking you, hey, what's up? Let's go do this. Let's go. And just the mere fact of being conscious, being awake, it was excruciating. But to think that I was losing the love of my mother, my family, that I was losing myself to this, it really pulled me through because believe me, it was to tell you the truth, it was the hardest time that I had done in my life.
Wow. So Victor, I mean that how did you come up with the 50-minute living your life in 50-minute increments like that every single day? How did you develop that yourself?
Yes, sir, I did because you know that there's this saying that you can apply to anything in life one day at a time.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I can't last a day. I just can't. How I'm going to do this? I need to find a way to talk to myself about this. And I was like, well, okay. 15 minutes it is, because in my baddest moments, uh, I could spend 800, $1,000 a week on drugs, and that was horrible.
Wow. So for
And then to
those
get clean
50
of all
minutes,
that,
you spoke to yourself for those 50 minutes? Is that what you did?
those 15 minutes, I was like, okay, in these 15 minutes, I'm going to focus on being clean, on being sober. And I used to just talk to myself like, okay, man, come on, you got this. You have to be strong. You don't want to be like one of those guys, and you're really close to being it, that are on the traffic light with a can asking for change. You don't want to be eating out from the dumpster. That's what you want from you. I mean, for you, you're better than that. Come on, you can't quit. And really, that made, little by little, I started to change the dialogue to, you're better than that. Come on, you're a badass. You got to keep going. We got this. Okay. Hey, and like I told you, anything, or you said, we both said this, anything that you tell yourself obsessively over and over and over, you start to believe. So who knows? Maybe I'm no badass at all, but it got to the point that I was like, I'm a badass. I got this. I'm strong enough. I'm stronger than it. And here I am. But it was a process. And like any process, processes take time and dedication. Believe me, I don't look back that way, because that was the hardest thing that I had done in my life. I don't want to go back there for nothing.
No, but as bad as it was and as dark as it was, Victor, those days did help shape you to where you are. So I would
Yes.
not be ashamed if I were you. I would be proud the fact that you were able to overcome that, because there are people out there listening who are struggling with being able to overcome those things. And I think, man, to sit here and think about how you came up with that 50-minute thing on your own, bro, that's fucking amazing. I think people could implement that into their life right now, regardless of what it is they're going through.
Yes, because the thing is that it's like when you are when you want to start improving your life, your fitness, your health. You know that you have to set goals that are reasonable, attainable, sustainable. Okay, so what was reasonable for me at that time, with my mental state and all these things, was okay. One day at a time, I can do this for a whole day like that. I had to chunk this in smaller segments, and that's how I came up with that. Is I mean, you can apply it if you want, like to, I don't know. Let's just say that a person has problems, a difficult relationship with food. You can apply it to your nutrition too. I mean,
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
this in
100%.
particular, I'm going to stick to these portions. For these next 2 hours, I will no snack. I mean, you can do it any which way, apply it any which way you want. I mean, it's like a flexible template.
Right. I mean, I think that is an amazing tool that you just gave everybody right now, to just, you can use that into any, like you said, nutrition, exercise for XYZ. I'm going to do this. I think we overload ourselves and put too much pressure on ourselves. And I know that you may not have heard of this, but I know that I'm going to offend some of my listeners, because some of my listeners listen to some of the same mentors I do. But I listen to somebody, and there's this program out there called 75 Hard. Have you heard of it?
Oh, yes.
Now, I'm going to say that if someone is mentally struggling, physically struggling, I do not believe that is a program to start out with. I'm sorry. I just don't. I think it's way too disciplined and way too difficult, and people are more apt to give up than they are succeed.
Exactly. Is that there's also the school of thought that if you are winning every day, the game you're playing is too easy.
Exactly, right?
It's not about that. It's like look, the defense 75 hard. I had done that program, like 2 3 times, because sometimes it's good to have a definite structure about how you're gonna go about your day regarding your fitness and whatever. But to tell you the truth, I don't believe that anybody that is struggling, like you said, physically or mentally, should start with that much of intensity and volume because it has both things. And it will be sometimes some people will just quit because they're gonna think that they're not good enough, and it's not that. It's just that they're not at that level yet.
So how we really want to work this in our life is just let's just be a little bit better today than we were yesterday, right?
That's exactly the point. For example, back when I started walking, that it took me 47 minutes to walk one single mile. I didn't quit. I kept going. To be able to go up to 2 miles, it took me about a month, you know? And then when I did those 2 miles and I look, I was like, oh man, I have improved a lot. I did those 2 miles like in what it took to me to walk one in 45 minutes. Well, I was super excited. But what happens? If I go out there to social media, to one of these fitness groups or whatever, and I go like, well, I did 2 miles in 40. Well, you're a turtle, you're a slowpoke. I mean, why you're dying? My grandma walk faster than you, and she has a walker. That's the point.
Yep.
We cannot set ourselves for failure because, for example, right now, I cannot say, well, there's a Spartan race near me next month. I'm going to enter that. I know that maybe I could do it. I could hack it. But in all honesty, do I know in my heart of hearts that I can complete that without injuring myself or really making a total ass of myself? Well, I know that I am not at that level yet. And that's the point. We need to not be mediocre by any extent of the imagination, but recognize where we at and build from that point on.
Exactly. We need to understand that at certain points in our life, everywhere, no matter where we're at in our life, we do have limitations. But it's reaching the limitation and then expanding that limitation, right? It's never staying at that limitation. So you knew, hey, it's going to take me 45 minutes to walk a mile. I bet you can walk more than what are you at now? What do you walk a mile now?
Um, just I'm walking. I know I can walk a mile in like 15 minutes if I'm just walking. If I'm jogging, I can jog a mile like in around 11, something like that.
Okay, so look, the limitation you had when you began, look where it is now. Now you can say to yourself, I could do 3 miles in 45 minutes, like you were saying.
Exactly, and now it's funny you said 3 miles because that's what I'm working on now. I want to do these 3 miles. I have a route that is just 3 miles. I want to get my time down to do those 3 miles in 36 minutes, or less. Is that like a great athletic time? Nope. But it's the time that I want to make. I'm coming down from walking a mile in 47 minutes, being able to jog or run 3 miles in 36. To me, that's a really good improvement.
That is a huge improvement, and that is a success. We can have our own individual successes. There's nothing wrong with that. We don't need to compare our versions of ourselves to a David Goggins who can do it in 5-6 minutes, right? We need to know that Go ahead.
I get a lot of respect for David Goggins. I mean, I follow a lot of his sayings, especially that stay hard stuff. I mean, what happens? Staying hard doesn't have to be done, in my opinion, exactly like he does. I mean, we need to find our own level of hard and do it. Because a lot of people will go like, well, I am not cool. You're not David Goggins. Cool, no problem. But you know what? Who you are? You're Bill, or you're Victor, or you're Joe, or you're whoever your name is, and you can do what you need to do to, stay hard, to be awesome, to be uncommon. So for some people, that'll be like going to the gym 3 times a week. For some others, it might be just going for a walk of 30 minutes, 5 days a week. But whatever it is we're doing to better ourselves, is good, is great. I mean, we're not just remaining stagnant, doing nothing.
Right. We
We're
need to give
working
ourselves
towards being
credit.
better.
We need to give ourselves credit for that stuff instead of comparing
Exactly
ourselves to
right.
somebody else and saying, well, I mean, yeah, I can walk a mile in 15 minutes, but he can do it in 12. Well, it
You
used to
know?
be 45. So we need to give ourselves credit for the successes that we have accomplished, and we don't do that. We just continue. I mean, and there's nothing wrong with looking forward, right? We always want to continue growing and learning and inspiring to be better than what we are, but we also have to remember where we came from. You know, Victor, if you you went for that walk and it took you 45 minutes. If you woke up the next morning and you said, I'm going to do it in 40, you're setting yourself up for failure.
Exactly right.
You knew you couldn't do it.
I mean, and things like, for example, talking about change, exercise, has to be complemented by nutrition. And there's another area that I tell people, you need to take it like a little bit easier with that. Oh, but I'm going from tomorrow on, I'm only going to drink water, no soda, no juice, no coffee, just plain water, because you know how long that lasts approximately? 2 days.
And I guess
Because,
I guess that's where I was going with my 75 hard comment. Not that there's anything wrong with that program. I respect and admire the man.
No, it's an excellent program.
Right. I respect and admire the man who created it. But we know where we're at, right? We know, like we were saying, our limitations are there. If we say to ourselves, like you said, I'm only going to drink water for the next 2, we already know in our mind that we're putting ourselves in a situation we shouldn't be putting ourselves in. Maybe we should just say, you know what, for the next week, I'm going to drink X amount of water per day, but not only water.
Exactly.
When we put so many limitations on it, we tend to set ourselves up for failure. There needs to be a little bit more wiggle room there. So we just say, instead of saying only water, we say I'm going to try to drink a gallon or a half a gallon or whatever it may be. And then when we reach those and we succeed with those, then we can, we can grow them a little bit more. We can take it from a half a gallon to a gallon, but we just can't say, hey, for the next week, I'm only going to eat chicken. Right?
By the second day, believe me, we will be hating chicken like crazy. We will eat chicken if it was the only thing left in the earth.
All right, Victor, we spoke about we talked about a lot of stuff. You got some cool stuff going on, right? You're tell me some of the things you're starting out. You're starting. Are you writing a book or something?
Yes, I'm writing a book. The title of that book is precisely called "Is It for Looks? The Fire Within," and also the Fire Within is my group on Facebook. So if you're out there listening, go check us out. I mean, we're there for you. And I've been one of the things that I done with my fitness journey is I got like my certifications in nutrition and all that, and I'm here to offer anybody that needs it. I will offer coaching on nutrition and fitness, but most of all, in the mental aspect that need to be mastered to be successful in this. Because we can have the best program, the best coach, the best resources, but if we don't have the right mental setup, we're going to fail.
Well, you're 100% correct. And when I post this podcast, I will tag you in every aspect of it so that anyone listening can get a hold of you. They can reach out to you. Please, I got a lot of listeners, guys and girls. This guy knows his stuff. I reach out to him. I ask him questions. He helps me. He's there. He can help you. He has done this. He's overcome whatever obstacle you have in your life. Reach out to Victor. Ask him for some help, support, and some advice. He's got some great shit to talk about and tell you about. And this is a man who's not just pushing something on you to make some money. This guy is a genuine dude, man. He's done it. He wants to see people become successful. Reach out to him, Victor. I'm going to tag you and everything. So I'm hoping that people will reach out to you. There's a lot of people struggling with fitness and mental health. So just be there to help them when you can.
I mean, I'm here for anybody that needs it. And, I want to say this. No matter what you're going through, you're not alone. Reach out. There's always a solution. There's always an exit that is not drugs or alcohol or harming yourself. Never choose a self-destructive exit to solve a situation.
That's thank you so much for saying that, Victor. We're coming to a close with our conversation. We're going to have you on. You know that you're a regular of ours, so we're going to have you on a lot more. What do you got? You got some closing words for anybody besides what we've already talked about?
Well,
you got anything different going on?
Well, yes, I want to tell anybody that is listening, I want to make that point again. Remember that there's always a choice. If you don't feel confident about what you're choosing, reach out to somebody. Talk to a friend.
Very
Talk to your parents if you still have them. Reach out to me. Send me a message. But you're not alone. You can make this happen. And Bill, thanks for having me. And hey, I'm here for you.
Absolutely. We talk a lot, guys. Me and Victor talk a lot on the side. We have a lot of personal conversations. We text back and forth. I'm telling you, this is a true, genuine man who has overcome many obstacles in his life. These stories are not bullshit. He's not pushing some sort of fitness or weight loss program on you. You got questions, Victor can help. He's a true, genuine individual who is there for just that. And that's the basis of what we need to be as human beings, right? We need to be there for each other, not to chastise each other, not to say I'm better than you because I've done this and you haven't. Anyone, if it can be done by anyone, it can be done by everyone, right, Victor?
That's absolutely right.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much for coming on. I will be in touch, and you take care of yourself, all right?
Okay, you do the same, Bill.
All right, my friend.
Be safe.
You too.
Okay, cool. Bye-bye.
I'll be remembered, but will you? From McDonald's, the baddest that I would turn to. CEO with the shit that's a dope motherfucker. He'll always win. There's no going under. The top of the crown resting on his head. The beast is alive, he'll never be dead. If he drank before, bring it back to life. Push harder for it. Let us survive. Show courage and strength. It's okay to be scared, but don't let it stop you. Always stay prepared. Bill Showman School, they're just not beginning. Winners fucking win, losers talk about winning.